just like this. All right, I've got some people who are joining me on YouTube. Let me just read a couple of these questions here. Somebody said, Tony said, thanks, Tony, for the comment. He says, I work in cybersecurity and I have a criminal justice degree. I have a criminal justice degree. I have a CISSP. Um, that's awesome. That's incredible, Tony. You should. Are you actually working in the field right now? Do you have a job in information technology? And what's the status of that? Is it doing pretty good? I would be really interested in this. When I was in the military, I worked as a security forces member where I had associate's degree in criminal justice. And I was like, man, I don't want to get out and be a police officer. It was a tough job. Like, it was not an easy job. Mad respect to police officers, because that's a thankless job where your customers hate your guts and you're dealing with the worst parts of society. A lot of times you're going and you're going and talking to people on their worst day of their life, and so they're not usually in their best frame of mind. It's a hard job. I know, like, all the stuff going on with police officers today, and I'm not at all trying to justify some of the bad police officers that are out there, because there's like right now there's an epidemic, and the police departments defend these guys. I'm not saying that stuff is good, like some of the stuff that's happening is good at all. um when I was in the military, if you slipped up at all, they did not have your back. They threw you right under the bus. Like, you were held to a higher standard, and that's how I think police officers, the whole industry, should be. But that's not what's happening. That being said, mad respect to that profession, because it's very, very difficult, and not everybody can do that. And I wish they would stop putting people in those positions that shouldn't be police officers, because that's what's happening. Okay, Tony says, I'm actually a cybersecurity manager at KPMG. That's one of the top big four. It's one of the big four, one of the top, if I'm not mistaken. That's one of the top accounting firms in the U.S. Like, there's four. There's Deloitte. There's Ernst and Young. There's KPMG, and then there's one more. I can't remember what the other one is. If you guys can remember what it is, please chime in. He says he acts as a cybersecurity manager at the. Okay, that's awesome, man. I work in GRC work. So what kind of things you guys do? Do you guys have so that means you're kind of in the financial sector. Do you guys have a system security plan where, like, it's a package where you put all the security controls into one package, and then you get the system authorized? I'm sure you guys have risk assessments. You guys have things like continuous monitoring. You guys have things like, but do you guys have like a system security plan where it's all of the documentation for all the controls are put in one place in a database, and that's shared out to the organization for some sort of approval with your C-level execs, and for the agency to approve that system? I'm very curious if you guys have something like that. Do you guys also use Sarbanes-Oxley? If you didn't know, that's a security compliance set of rules that banks, financial institutions, investing institutions use to make sure that the organization is doing what they're supposed to do. I'm very curious about that, Tony. And while you're answering that one, let me see. Somebody else asked me another question. They said, anyone trying to get into cyber and IT should get in the help desk. That's definitely a big step up. It's a great way to learn the foundation that you need to get ahead. Oh man, SS, that's some great advice. Great advice. Okay, so while I'm waiting on Tony to respond, I think I'm gonna go to SS's comment. So you work in KPMG, and then you said you work in GRC. Okay, I don't know if Tony's gonna respond, so let me just go to SS. So SS says, anyone trying to get into cyber and IT should get into help desk. It's